out our next guest. And, well, maybe you've heard of him. And if you haven't heard of him, then you definitely heard of him. He is the best-selling relationship author of all time. And you've seen him on shows like Oprah and Good Morning America and The View and Today and Morning Show and Live with Regis. And he's been on CNN and ABC and NBC and BBC and Harv BC and every BC you can imagine. He's the author of 16, how many? 16 books, including one that you may have heard of or not, called Men Are From, Women Are From. Have you heard of that? The #1 best-selling book of the last decade. And literally, in the past 10 years, over 30 million. How many, please? 30 million copies have been sold worldwide, and it's in 40 different languages. And let me ask you a question. Do you think that something like that would be so popular if it wasn't nothing short of brilliant? You understand what I'm saying? You know why it's popular? Because it works. It works. The methodology works. And this man is very, very special. Like many of the presenters we've had up here, I didn't choose to bring him here only because he's a best-selling author and only because he's a trainer. I chose to bring him here because of who he is, because he's got heart. He's a healer. He's a teacher. He's a very, very high being, and another person that I would highly encourage you to emulate, at least in part, if that resonates for you. Yes? He's just a very amazing man, and he's helped so many people. And not just does he have this great book, he's written many books, but he has now kind of pioneered this whole wellness arena that I think he's going to tell you a little bit about, I hope so. And the last time we had him at one of our events at A Wealth and Wisdom, this is what he talked about, more or less, and it was just profound. And so many people went to his wellness ranch and did his program and came back and told me about their experience that I was just talking to him, and I'm planning on going this summer, yes? And I think it's, you know, when someone is ahead of their time in an area, then you really got to, you know, take notice. And this man was ahead of his time in the relationship area, is ahead of the time in the health area, and now he has combined the two. How's that? Good or good? Give someone a high five and say, that's awesome. So, as the old cliche goes, without further what? May I present the one, the only, John Gray.
All right.
Nice try. They're loving you, man. They're loving you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Whoa. Thank you. Thank you. So I've been with you here this whole weekend. What an incredible event. I am so honored and having such a great time, great company. And I want you to, you know, one of the speakers today was talking about he'd done this 40 years. And of course, I'm from Mars, so immediately I figured out how many years have I been doing it. Just like every guy in the room, as soon as you hear that my book has sold 30 million copies, what every guy thinks is, how much money do you make for every book? How many men thought that? And see, all the women are thinking something else when I come out on stage. They all think, I hope he remembers something if their partner's here. So anyway, I did my little calculation, and I've been teaching seminars for 37 years. Pretty amazing thing, teaching seminars 37 years. And I want to tell you that up until this group and the previous favorite group I did, my favorite groups were Tony Robbins, which many of us love Tony Robbins seminars. Fabulous, fabulous groups, fabulous energy. And then I was invited to Harv's, whatever it is, one of those events. And it blew my mind how spectacular you are as a group and what he does for you to help bring out the best in you. And what you've done here has just blown my mind off the charts. So you're fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. And I believe I'm the last presenter, so I like to think I'm the best for last. But I'm so glad you stayed. I thought, oh, they're going to stay, or they're going to stay. And then it started to rain. Oh, is it going to rain? And then I remembered I wore my sunshine shirt, so I didn't have much to worry about. But I want you to know that a part of my background is I used to be actually a Hindu monk for 9 years and study the Hindu tradition. I'm Christian as well, but I'm kind of universal everything. And one of the things I would do when I initiate people into meditation, it's an ancient tradition, it's called puja, is the first thing you do is you sing a little verse. And the verse is reflective of a concept in Eastern philosophy and Eastern religions and so forth, and spirituality, is that before something really special happens, you get cleansed and the rain comes out. And the rain came out to cleanse you all for all this incredible weekend. And I don't have a lot to teach you. You've learned so much this weekend. I'll share a little bit more. But I thought, since it just happened, and everybody's got this Namaste t-shirt, I figured, well, some people are familiar with some of the Eastern traditions, that I would do that little blessing. It's at the beginning of a puja. And it goes like this. Apavitra. Let me tell you what it means first. It means whether pure or impure, let this blessing of water be infused with all God's angels, all divine love, all support, to awaken in you, in us, God's blessings, divine intelligence, and divine love. So I'll just chant the little thing. It's the beginning. Aparvitra pavitrova sarva vastanga topiva yasmare pundari sakshat yabare savare savat. That's it. Namaste. Namaste. May you all be blessed. I know that all blessings come when we ask and we open our hearts, but also when we put forth work, we put forth effort, we put forth commitment. And even though my understanding and my experience of success is always effortless, effort. You got to put forth effort. But when it's not effortless effort, you're just struggling. In my workshops, one of the little exercises we used to do in my ranch is we pushed my car up the hill. So we had this beautiful spa overlooking the ocean. I say, who wants to go to the spa? Everybody wants to go to the spa with hot tubs overlooking the ocean. It's kind of like a modern Esalen, but you have to wear bathing suits. Esselens, they all go naked in the hot tubs. My ranch, we let people wear bathing suits. And you get into teams, and your objective is to push the car up the hill. And everybody gets their teams, and they push the car up the hill, and afterwards we discuss everything that we learned about that. Finally, we come to the conclusion that the truth is, it was struggle. It was hard. But we were a team. We worked together. We had division of labor. We communicated. We got there. Some of us got upset because the other team beat us. All the lessons that we learned through life experiences. And then finally the lesson comes out when I point out that, and did anybody suffer and struggle? And they all suffered and struggled because it was difficult. And I said, did anybody ever think that there was a key in the ignition? And nobody ever thinks of that because I didn't tell them. But the whole time there's a key in the ignition, and anybody could have just gotten in the car, turned it on, and driven it up. And this is what goes on in our lives. Whenever you experience struggle, whenever you experience suffering, you have this fantastic car that will drive you anywhere you want to go. The best. It's built. You don't have to do anything. You don't even know how it works. All you have to do is turn the key and point it, and it goes. And we know that much of the time. But at those times when we experience suffering or struggle, or when effort is not effortless, we have forgotten that there's a key and a car to take us where we want to go. And what do we do instead? We get out of the car and we get behind the car and we push and we struggle together. Now, some of us are out there pushing on our own, and others glorify we're going to push as a team. And there's more satisfaction in that, of course. Misery together is always better than alone. But the great thing is to remember that whenever we're struggling and we're suffering, somewhere there's a key. And if we don't know where it is, we need to look for it, because there's a key somewhere. And today I want to talk a little bit about some of the keys for relationship. Now, in my 20s, I taught about success. I taught meditation. If you remember the days of the Maharishi who came and brought us yoga and meditation, and I was his personal assistant and lived with him for 9 years. And people always think I'm some kind of marketing genius to write the best-selling book of the last century, which is, by the way, out of date. It's now, according to USA Today, in the category of nonfiction, hardback, the number one best-selling book of the last 25 years. Thank you. Pretty cool, pretty cool. And the number one category of paperback nonfiction, it's Chicken Soup for the Soul. Have to acknowledge that because Jack's my good friend. Jack and I go back a long time. As a matter of fact, other speakers here, we all started in a little hub together quite a long time ago. Also, Barbara DeAngelis, who gave a fabulous lecture yesterday. Give a hand for Barbara. Yay, Barbara. So anyway, some of the secrets that I've gathered over the years, and so those that you can apply at those times when you're turning that little ignition instead of struggling, is to remember that whenever you're struggling in your relationship, your assumption is wrong. You are wrong. You're missing something. Now, your partner is also wrong. I mean, I don't have to teach you that. We always know they're wrong. But what we don't realize is our assumptions, our expectations, our thought of how things should be, if they're not that way, we are mistaken. Now, just because I'm mistaken every time there's a problem in my relationship, it doesn't mean she's not mistaken as well. But how am I going to make this into a win? How am I going to solve this problem? How am I going to create my reality if I'm waiting for her to change? Or if I'm waiting for her to point out she's wrong? I spent so many years like waiting. Let it go. And realize that what am I really looking for in a marriage? In my intimate relationship, my special relationship of all relationships. My wife Bonnie and I have been married now 23 years. And she is my soulmate. I adore her. And sometimes I don't. And that's what you have to understand as I stand up here professing total adoration for my wife, as well as incredible sex after 23 years, which is an accomplishment. Sometimes my wife gives me little jabs because I brag about how fast I drive my car. I'm really a car guy. Lots of guys from Mars are car guys. Not all, but I just like to, if I'm upset, I just get in my car and drive fast. Got my stereo, I'm a happy camper. Then I come back and I'm ready to have sex. She's not, but I am. So I was giving a talk in my little town of Mill Valley where I live. I do a talk for the community. We have a community theater, and I do my show. I've kind of just a comedy show as well, once a month. And so she was in the audience, and somebody asked, well, how does John make love? He's teaching about sex sometimes. He says, he makes love the way he drives his car. And I just been talking about how fast I drive my car. And I was also talking about how women need a little more time in sex for us fast drivers. So anyway, I didn't have a comeback. I had to like mull that one over till next month later. She wasn't at that presentation, but I mentioned what she said. And my wife, and of course my wife, when I'm talking about sex, my wife says that I have sex the way I drive. Everybody laughed, and I said, and of course my comeback is, yeah, but I can drive for 3 hours without stopping. Now, that's not really true, but it was just a joke, okay? So I was thinking about how I'd start out today, and I always just open up to whatever comes my way. And it was one of the lovely assistants that brought me in the little cart down here, and she was talking with one of the other team members, and the team member was being considerate of her and saying, well, how's today compared to yesterday, or something like that. And she said, oh, I like today much better. And he goes, oh, was it the speakers? Was it this? And she goes, no, I had more time to eat. Now, I bring this point up because this will be one of the points that men will bring home. Men can't remember more than one thing anyway. So I want to make sure that one thing at a time, one thing at a time, one thing at a time. I want to make sure it's the most important point I can convey to a guy today. And that point will be why she said that. Most men would think, well, what's the big deal? You know, it's kind of like, wasn't the speakers that made it great? No, it's because she was fed. See, men don't realize this because our bodies are designed differently. Long time ago, before we had arrows and spears, the way we would get food is we'd chase after animals. And we just keep running after them until they would get tired before we did. And they'd fall down and we'd kill them, thank them and kill them and go eat them. So now women didn't do that. They don't have that whole physiology that we have. So what will happen is when a woman says she's hungry, it really means she's hungry. See, a guy can be hungry, but he knows he has to chase the animal for a long time before he gets it. So you'll be leaving this seminar maybe, and you've been driving a few hours, and she's going to say to you, let's look for a restaurant. And you're going to think, okay, once we get to the airport, we'll check out restaurants. Right? Men are like, they want to go from point A to point B, and then decide what we're going to do after we get a little praise, and then we eat, have sex, or take a nap. Any of those three things. But we have to work for it. We go from point A to point B, so he's driving, and so you want to eat. He figures, okay, once we get there, we'll eat, no problem. What he doesn't know is that when a woman says, let's look for a restaurant, or when a woman says she's hungry, this is a medical emergency. This is a code blue alert. Code blue. What did I say? What did I say? What did I say? Now, just all the way in the back. I want to hear it all the way in the back. What did I say? Well, they're way back there. I want to try to connect and hear you again, but let me say it differently. When a woman says she's hungry, what do you do? They did it in the back. Okay, we'll just let the back do it. When a woman says she's hungry, what do you do? When a woman says she's hungry, what do you do? And now all together, when a woman says she's hungry, what do you do? Because it is a code blue alert. Because it is a code blue alert. Now I'm going to explain why. And in understanding why, everything about your relationships that doesn't make sense will start to make sense. And that's what's so beautiful about this message of men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Is that you start getting into this thinking, your whole past starts going click, 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 click. Everything that you kind of go, doesn't make sense, she's nuts, he's crazy, he didn't love me, she didn't care. All that stuff, wrong. The most annoying things my wife does to me, she only does because she loves me. It took about 15 years to figure that out, really. It's like what she'll do is, before a talk, she says, your nose hairs are sticking out. If I'm getting ready, she'll say, you can't wear that tie. It doesn't match. I go, I don't care if it matches. I like the tie. Men just think one thing at a time. If I like the tie, I'll wear the tie. Women see everything. A whole woman's life is about accessories. Women have all these accessories. Men don't understand it. We shop one thing at a time. We get it. We're out of there. It's like we killed it. We take it. We're gone. The most exhausting thing for a guy, go shopping with your wife. You never know where you're going. You never know how long it's going to take. You have no control over how long it's going to take. Because she'll say, oh, let's go in there. But no, we're going there. Oh, but look in here. We'll look in here. And now we'll look in here. And now we're going to stop shopping for me and shop for somebody else. Or she'll try on dresses and then not even buy them. It's like, we spent all this time and you didn't even buy it. Let's kill it and take it home. What men are about is achieving that goal, getting from point A to point B, because only when we get to point A, B, can then we enjoy a nap. We need to rest or have sex or eat. Simple creatures we are. Women are not. Extremely complicated. They let you know by all those accessories. They got this, they got earrings, she's got face paints on, they got matching clothes, they got shoes with diamonds on them and rubies and glitter and sparkles and all this stuff. And of course, guys, if I'm playing basketball with my friend Bob, hey, Bob, you got new Nikes. Bob says, yes, I got them on sale. They match your pants. Men just don't think that way. We don't think to think that way. It's so foreign to the way we would think. And yet, it's really helpful to make a few small adjustments. I'm not saying men should ever become like women. I'll tell you, if you do become like women, they won't be turned on to you anymore. I already know that. It's a fact. I used to counsel men for years to become more like women. Open up, share your feelings, get in touch. Something hurts, let her know. So 2 months later, the women would all come back and say, I love him so much, but I'm not turned on to him anymore. I say, why? These are the answers. When I first got involved with him, I didn't realize he had so many problems. Or he's so sensitive, I feel like I have to walk on eggshells. Everything hurts his feelings. He was just being a good guy. It's like, okay, she wants me to talk about everything that hurts, so he started talking about everything that hurts. It's not that men can't share feelings and open up, but never talk more than a woman. That's the rule, basic rule. Never talk more than a woman. In the bedroom, if she's in the mood for an orgasm, never have an orgasm first. Because when he's done, everything's done. She feels that. She can feel that. Okay, back to hunger. I was at one point. Okay, you're going to stick on that point. Why is this such an important thing for you to know, guys? Because when a woman's hungry, that means her blood sugar has dropped. And when her blood sugar drops, that means her brain can't make a chemical that it needs to make under stress. And that chemical is called serotonin. Who's heard of serotonin? What's that word again? Now, the drug companies have researched all this for us. But you don't have to take drugs to create serotonin. I'll teach you how today, naturally. The first step to understand serotonin is balanced blood sugar. If a woman's hungry, she can't make serotonin to cope with stress. Now, what happens to a woman when she's under stress is different from what happens to a man. If you measure now the brain scans, when a woman's under stress, there's 8 times more blood flow to the emotional part of the brain. How many times more? 8 times. Can you put it on your fingers? 8 times. 8 times stronger emotional reaction under stress than a man. Now, if I don't understand that, I'm going to think my wife is nuts. Which a lot of men would come to me. Men who never get married, they come to me. I say, I can already tell you why you're not married. You get involved with this woman and everything's wonderful. Yeah, sex is great. Yeah. And then you realize she needs therapy or needs to be committed. He goes, that's right, I have some curse. Every woman I meet, she has some brain problem. I say, no, you have the problem. You don't understand women. They just have a stronger emotional reaction to things than men do. And this is proven now. You can look under a brain scan. And let's call it stress. We all know stress is 1 as a little thing, 10 is a big thing. On a scale of 1 to 10, she rates it a 2. So it's not a big deal. Lost $50. Not a big deal. Lost $10,000. Big deal. Okay. Our cat died or whatever. So there's a 2 versus a 10. And a man has his scale, 1 to 10. They measure blood flow in the emotional part of his brain when the stress is at a 2. And they measure blood flow when a woman says the stress is a 2. And what's the outcome? 8 times more blood flow in her brain. And so a man is going to be thinking, well, if she's got that much emotional reaction, she must be thinking this situation is a 10. But she'll tell you, it's not a big deal. He said, well, why are you talking about it? So we can talk. And he thinks, if it's not a big deal, why are we talking about it? Why do you have to bring it up? And she says, so we can talk about it. He will just forget it. I can't forget it. After we talk about it, I can forget it. But if it's not a big deal, don't talk about it. Let's just enjoy the sunshine. Why do we have to talk about the rain? We're just talking about it. So men are constantly misinterpreting, misunderstanding women. So when I first understood this, it was like a perfect example that day at the counter. Because I'm all into like purified water, oxygenated water, water systems. I'm like the researcher big time on all this stuff, okay, which is cool stuff. So I got all this special water, and my kids drink this special water. And she had washed out some bottles, and she had filled one with already the special water. And we're getting the kids ready for school, and they're off to getting to school. Everything's rushing around like parents, you know. And so I got to get the water for my daughter. And I see this bottle with water in it. So I figure, okay, it's old water. I'll dump it. So I'm pouring the water out so I can get fresh water in there. As I'm pouring the water out, she goes, no, no, no. Okay. I learned this is just that 8 times reaction. She's not saying it's that big of a deal. She's just having a strong emotional reaction that will pass, just like the rain. It will pass. This was actually one of the Buddha's greatest teachings that we men can learn from. All suffering is temporary. Now, if you ask men confidentially, what's the most painful thing in a relationship? When she talks. Or when she says, we need to talk. He go, oh my God, I don't know how long this is going to take. And then he knows that after she's talked, she's going to ask him, how do you feel? And no matter what he says, it's always the wrong thing. A man can't come up with the right answer. It doesn't happen. Because to every one of your feelings, our mind is going overtime going, why are you getting upset about that? Well, that's not such a big deal. Well, don't worry about this. Well, that's not such a problem anyway. Just do this, 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 and you don't have to worry about it. Matter of fact, we can forget the whole thing. You just get naked and have sex, so let's forget it. So whatever he says, it doesn't work. So already a conversation, he knows, oh, it's just going to be a thunderstorm that could go on forever. The sun will never shine again. I will teach you today one technique so you will be assured the clouds will always pass and the sunshine will come. But if you don't understand this technique, you will try to solve her problems. You will try to talk her out of being upset. You will tell her why she shouldn't rain on you. And the rain will just get more and more and more. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire if you interrupt a woman when she wants to talk. And the irony is she'll say, well, what should we do? And every cell in his body says, forget the whole thing, let's do something else. At that moment, when she says, what should we do? You have to use all your wisdom, your intelligence, and willpower. Say nothing. You just make little noises like, I don't know. Tell me more. You can't solve the problem. You got to just let her talk for a while, and then you are solving the problem. Because when a woman has a chance to talk and somebody's not interrupting her with solutions, she's just sharing. And when she's just sharing, a brain chemical gets produced. And guess what that is? Serotonin, that's right. So if she can talk, she produces serotonin. And what does that serotonin do? It washes over that emotional center of the brain, which is 8 times more active in her. And the serotonin comes in and washes it away. And so it rains for a few moments and the sun comes out. Says, oh my God, that's the wrong bottle. It's the wrong bottle. You wasted the water. You wasted the water. Oh, sorry, honey. If I said, oh, it's not a big deal. What do you mean it's not a big deal? And she wanted to talk some more about it. I've learned, oh, okay. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to solve it. You have to look stunned. And you are anyway. It's just now you don't have to have a judgment like something's wrong with her. You understand? This is why you love being in bed with her. You put that little thing in and she goes, oh. Every man needs that. Of course, women read these romance novels that say things like, my, that's a big member you have there. That doesn't work. That's conversation. That just puts a man in his head and then he can't be aroused. See, God gave men enough blood for one brain at a time. When it flows south, let's stop all conversation. He gets quiet, and you make noises that don't require intellect. He just needs a little guidance of when he's in the right place, getting warmer. Oh, getting warm. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh. And then you get quiet for a while. He goes, I don't know what's going on. So he'll start what to do. And if he doesn't try something else, what you do instead of saying, that's the wrong place, you just get quiet for a while, and then you move his hand where it needs to go. That's all you do. He goes, yeah. He goes, I did that. He just needs a positive direction. Your feedback, your response is so important to him. In bed, every man understands that. Do you understand that, men? Yes. Do you understand that, men? Yes. We like response. Yes? Yes? Okay. Just as men like response in the bedroom, women like response out of the bedroom. When she's talking, see, men only do one thing at a time. So while she's talking, we're listening. That's all we can do. All right, I'm listening. I can't look at her and listen, so we'll start to look away. And you think he's not even listening. It's so hard to listen. We can only do, I got to just focus on what is she saying? What am I supposed to do about this? So one of the things you practice doing is when she's talking, it doesn't take a lot of mental power. You make noises. You go, oh. And whenever she pauses, oh. And if they're kind of like suffering noises, they like that. It's like the opposite. Men like to hear those happy, pleasurable sounds in the bedroom. There's a little edge there. Oh, you know, there's a movement there. But women really like to hear your movement like, oh, that's awful. That's too bad. Oh, can't believe it. I can't believe it. And then she said, what do you mean you can't believe it? Tell me more. Just change the subject. Just move off of it. Don't explain anything. So now we're in the conversation, and by listening to her without interrupting, if she starts to feel heard, then her brain makes serotonin. Serotonin washes over the limbic system of the brain. That's in the center of the brain where the emotional centers are, and the blood flow decreases. So she has her alarm bells that go off, and then they relax again. Alarm bells go off, and they relax again. Women just have more emotion. That's how they're supposed to be. And their brains are then supposed to make serotonin to wash over it. If they don't make enough serotonin, then they feel chronically depressed, anxious, resentful, negative things, the negative emotions we don't want to have. And then they go to their doctor, and they give you some medication. They won't do anything to solve the problem. The problem is you need to make serotonin. And often, even if you're sitting with a therapist or your husband's listening to you, it doesn't make enough serotonin. And why doesn't it? Because your blood sugar isn't balanced. You can't make more serotonin unless you have plenty of blood sugar. That's why you love that chocolate occasionally. Oh, give me the chocolate. It's often the sugar in the chocolate that you're craving. Although chocolate is fabulous, but often you're craving it. Craving is for that carbohydrate, for that sugar. Because that will raise your blood sugar, produce serotonin, but the problem is then your blood sugar drops again. So then you run out of serotonin. So you have to learn to create serotonin without having to take sugar to bump your blood sugar. But that's why you crave those sugars in the morning. You crave carbohydrates in the morning. It gives you instant energy, makes you feel good. It's the comfort foods. All those comfort foods will raise your blood sugar, then drop it. Then when you're under stress, you can't make serotonin. And your brain says, well, how do I make serotonin? I talk. So you'll start talking about problems. And if there's nobody around, you'll start talking to yourself about problems. So you know who you are, women, and probably almost all of you. Let's just do a sampling. How many women have sometimes talked to yourself about a problem a little bit longer than you'd like to do? You know that. Just imagine what it's like for a man to listen. You already said that. But women can say something 50 different ways, moving around and around. A little bit more compassion for men here, I'll give you. Just that whole listening thing. This is real brain differences. We got a big brain here on the stage, right here. I have to stop and see how the timer works for a moment. One thing at a time. It's going down. Now I know how much time I have left. Okay. So we got a big brain on the stage. Men and women's brains are very similar in some ways, but we use them differently. And you can see this now under scans. So let's look at how the parts of the brain are. There's a listening part of the brain up here on the left side. Then there's a talking part of the brain right below it. Then back over here, there's an analytical part of the brain. Then over here, there's a feeling part of the brain. Then there's emotional memory over here. Then right up here in the front, there's something that says, is this the most important thing or not the most important thing? Kind of like the prioritizer. And then over here to the right, there's the planner of the future. So these are called gray matter, the intelligence centers in the brain. The difference between men and women's brains is we all have them, except that men have 7 times more gray matter. Those intelligence centers, they're much bigger for men. For women, they're not bigger, but they don't have to be bigger. Why? Because women have 10 times more white matter. White matter is freeways connecting the gray matter to other parts of the brain. So when a man has to solve a problem, he goes to one part of the brain, works on it for a while, hoping he can do it all by himself. A woman goes to a part of the brain, the whole brain lights up. Feelings get involved. Well, we have something to say about this. Well, what about the future? But remember the past. How important is this? We need to talk more about it. And he's not even listening. So her whole brain is getting into the whole thing. It's all effortless for her. Everything is connected. You talk to a guy and you have feelings in your, he's trying to listen. And then he's trying to make sense of what you're saying. Like, what's the point? And see, sometimes women haven't yet decided what the point is. Or they haven't discovered what the point is. Or sometimes there may not be a point. We're just talking and sharing. And so women can do all kinds of talking. They got different ways of talking. To men, it's always like, oh, what's the point? So he's listening to the point. So you talk a few words. Then he has to run back to this part of the brain in a split second. Okay, what'd she say? What's the point? Don't know yet. Come back, gather more information. Come back over here, gather more information. Come back over here, gather more information. Come back over here. Uh-oh, feelings. How do I get there? Is like little side roads from the left side of the brain to the right side of the brain. Feelings, okay, that's what I'm feeling, that's what she's feeling. Well, he's over in feeling, he can't think or talk. So he's like, he goes back over here, what was I feeling? Let me come up here, what is she talking about? And she's now changed the subject. So he literally doesn't know what you're talking about. So then he like wanders in the, so he's kind of like, okay, who is she talking about? And he's thinking, why would Bob say that? And she keeps talking, but Bob wouldn't say something like that, but okay, maybe Bob said it, you know? So she's continuing on, and then finally he says, why would Bob say that? And she says, Bob? I'm not talking about Bob. I stopped talking about Bob 10 minutes ago. How could you think I'm talking about Bob? Bob would never do these things. I didn't think it would be Bob. Well, why'd you say it was Bob? Well, I just thought we were talking about Bob. Bob, do you listen to anything? And of course, he's doing his very best. He's running around his brain trying to make sense of what you're saying. It's literally jogging. Okay, how long can I do this? How long can I do this? And you're like, you know, getting a massage. All the parts of your brain being sponged around, whatever. So women will talk, and literally all parts of the brain light up. Serotonin gets produced. It washes over the emotional center of the brain. It relaxes. Then she suddenly has the experience of remembering all the bright things in her life. The sun is out. The rain is gone. The rain is forgotten for that moment in time. Then when stress comes up, and if her blood sugar is low, she'll start to talk to stimulate serotonin. But there's not enough blood sugar to make the serotonin. So now she's hungry. And if there's no food, then what does she do? She keeps talking. And when she keeps talking, this is what you have to know, men. She will experience, without enough blood sugar to make serotonin, she will experience temporary amnesia. And she will forget any good thing you've ever done. Everything you've ever done, washed away. How do you know she's in this state? She says like, you never talk to me. You never listen to me. We never go out anymore. You're always rushing. Work is always more important than me. You used to love me. Now you don't. And of course, what do, men? You foolishly walk right into that trap. It's literally like sticking your arm in an alligator about to chop it off. And you argue with her at those moments. You say, of course I love you. What do you mean you love me? Now she has 10 more memories of all the times she didn't feel loved. And you say, but I was on time. Remember that time I took you out on that date? It was so wonderful. She says, yeah, that date, but remember, all these other memories come up. Literally, unless she has stable blood sugar, or unless she has someone who can listen to her, she could have complete wonderful blood sugar and talk about this, but if you keep interrupting her, she can't produce the serotonin. Because with the serotonin, she can now remember all the wonderful things you've done before. But she can't remember them. And men don't get this. Often men will come to me in therapy and go, wow, she used to be so positive. Now she's just so negative. She's got all these lists of everything I do wrong and how much more she does than me. See, women are born with, I call it the never-ending to-do list. How many women can relate to that? A never-ending to-do list. List is a woman's life. It goes on and on and on. They can't turn it off. It doesn't end. See, men, we have lists, but we can leave them in the office. We can watch TV and forget them. How do we forget that, by the way? A very important skill for women. I call that the cave. Every man has his cave. He's got his to-do list at work. And of course, if you're thinking about all these problems, you got to keep doing stuff, but you have to rest. You act and you rest. You act and you rest. So he's got to rejuvenate his body, rejuvenate his brain. So he comes home to his cave, and every Martian's got a cave. Some haven't found it. You got to find a cave, and you need a wife that will support you in going to your cave. Many women say, my husband's so moody and irritable and grumbly. He whines about all this stuff. I say, well, when does he go to his cave? He doesn't have a cave. I say, you need to give him a cave. Whenever he's in a bad mood, just say, I'm going out dancing with my girlfriends. Let the house be his cave. Men have to be alone for a while in order to recover. Otherwise, they become whiny and grumbly and wimpy, everything you don't want. They have no control over it. They need to know this stuff. But most guys instinctively go to their cave. And the cave has a sign on it that says, do not enter or be burned by dragon. And every man instinctively knows that. You know, if I'm with a bunch of guys and some guy's not talking, we all just ignore him. And the truth is, if we said something to him like, well, what's going on with you? We don't want to embarrass him to point out nothing's going on with him. So guys will just ignore other guys. We do it affectionately, lovingly. Women sitting at a round table all talking, one won't talk. Why does she not talk? To draw more attention to herself. No Venusians are not allowed to leave until she talks. Come on, Mary, what is it? We know something's going on. She goes, oh, no, it's nothing. And of course, when women say, oh, no, it's nothing, what do they mean? It's something. And if you care enough, and you have time, and I'm important enough, then you'll ask me more questions. So for women, they'll like clam up, and men don't know. They go, oh, is something the matter, honey? Oh, nothing. You think, good, I can go watch TV. I can go to my cave earlier. He goes to his cave, and she goes, why is he in there? Oh, the sign. And in Venusian, that Martian phrase, it says, do not enter or be burned by dragon. In Venusian, it says, welcome, welcome, I need your help, let's talk. Come on in. So she sees him in the cave, and she comes on in. What happened today, honey? What's going on? He says, nothing. But I thought, I'm going to illustrate that for you because it's such a delight for me this weekend to be at this incredible conference where Barbara DeAngelis spoke. And I don't know how many of you know, but Barbara DeAngelis and I used to be married. She's one of my first loves. And she's here, and so she's going to come up, and we're going to do a little skit for you about men in their cave. All right. After all these years, we still love each other, and we still remember John in his cave. Because we were practicing this skit before, and Barbara goes, I remember. So, do you want to say something before we demonstrate this little skit?
Yes, these pictures are going to be worth a lot on eBay, so get them on immediately.
All right, so I used to come home, and this is true. I wrote Men Are From Mars a few years after Barbara and I got divorced. And part of how I wrote Men Are From Mars was doing soul searching for what were the mistakes in that relationship. How did we misunderstand each other? Because we had true love, we adore each other, we love each other, but we certainly didn't have certain things ironed out. And this is a scenario that used to happen all the time, which is I would be like tired, and I would like go to my cave. So I'm off in my cave. It could be sitting watching TV or reading a magazine or just lying in bed. Or meditating. One of my caves. They're all my favorite caves. So I'm sitting there reading my magazine. And Barbara comes up.
Hi, honey. What are you doing?
Just reading this magazine.
Oh, great. Well, what's it about?
Now, secretly, I have no idea what the magazine's about, but now I have to like read a few lines. Nothing.
Well,
Just reading it.
is something wrong? You're kind of acting funny.
No.
No, something's wrong. I know something's wrong. You're looking at me strange. I mean, I came up, and I'm here, and I was being very sweet, but you had this kind of weird look on your face.
I do feel kind of stupid. Just reading this magazine, that's all.
Well, why won't you talk to me? I want to know. I mean, I'm asking you, why won't you talk to me?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Something's obviously wrong. You're not looking. I mean,
no, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just reading a magazine. Everything's fine.
You know, don't just flip me off like that. Obviously, we have something to talk about here. Something's wrong.
Really? It really is nothing. I'm fine. I'm just reading the magazine.
You know, now
it's not about you. It's not about you.
Now, are you angry? Now you're angry at me. What did I do? I didn't do anything. I just came up to love you.
I'm not angry. I'm not angry.
Now you're yelling at me.
I'm not angry.
This.
Okay. I wasn't angry, but now I am angry. Okay. Thank you. There we go. There we go. Now, I'm gonna say this in case you want to make a comment. I wouldn't want to have the last word. I learned that with Barbara. She usually likes the last word. She does. She's brilliant. She has lots to say. I've learned to listen. But do you remember one of my most important concepts in that book? It took me a long time to figure it out, but I still remember the moment when I realized it. And when Barbara would be so invasive into my cave, and usually it would happen at 12 o'clock at night. And I had this rule that I don't have with my wife, Bonnie. And the rule was, Barbara, I will listen to you any time of the day, but after 12, you remember that? After 12 o'clock, I just have to sleep. No more talking. Anyway, a little alarm clock would go off in Barbara, and at 12 o'clock, we'd have this conversation. And you know, we had the conversation at other times too, but when it was after 12 o'clock, then my reaction was, I'm going in the other room. Remember the other room? So we won't act out that one. But so I'm going to the other bedroom. So I go to the other bedroom, and I'd be visited by Barbara, and she said, come on, let's talk. And she was persistent, and for quite a while, we would eventually have these long conversations and learn more about each other. But at a certain point in our relationship, I went to the other room. I said, I just got to be alone. And I went to the other room, and I lay there in this other bed. And Barbara didn't come knock on the door. She just stayed in our bedroom. And I remember my experience, and I want all of you women to know this is a universal male experience. I went to the other room to get away. And as soon as I'd gotten away and I was in the room, and she didn't come after me, I felt like, this is great. All right. I don't have to talk. I don't have to listen. Everything's all right. I can just snuggle up and sleep. And I was feeling so happy. And then I started to miss her. I literally started going, well, gee, I don't want to be alone in the bedroom. And I got up, and I went back into the room. And her face literally turned white of shock, because she thought if she didn't go after me, then I would think she didn't love me.
That's right.
So she was so you remember that?
Yes.
So
now the real reason.
This last word here.
The real reason that women, we could just do this separately and you could all come, and that's a whole different seminar. The real reason women suddenly love to talk late at night, I discovered after we separated, was because men run out of words at a certain time.
Absolutely.
At a certain time. And that's when our words are just building up. And so when we're really ready to just have that conversation, he's done.
I'm done.
He's done. And I have learned over the years now that in the morning is a much better time to talk. We've learned a lot from each other. And I just want to say, John and I haven't been, actually, we've not spent more than about 2 minutes together in 25 years. And at the seminar of the century, there was the reunion of the century. And the healing of the century. And And I just want to honor him for having been my teacher, as I know I was. And what we went out and did separately was so miraculous for the world. And it seems so appropriate in this environment with all of you, with Harv's blessing, that we came back together in such an ecstatic way.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Namaste. Thank you. Thank you, Harv.
Okay. I don't know. I learned that women do that when they are. Guys don't. Do I have water, though? Guys get thirsty. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, little thing about water is that when you keep water up in bottles, what happens is the molecules in the bottles and the water clump together. And then often it's hard for your body to assimilate it. So ideally what you want to get is an alkalizer or a microprocessor or a reduced water generator in your home. Korea's coming out with them. There's American brands. The American brand I have is called a Jupiter. They're very cool. They're alkalizers, but more importantly, they break down the molecules back to the way they were in nature. Because when water goes through a pipe for many, many hours, or even for 100 yards, the molecules clump together. And when they stay in a bottle, they clump together. So there's some waters that say they're microprocessed or microclustered. Those are the ones you want to go with. But if you don't have one that's microclustered, you can just shake it up. Just shake up your bottle, and that will do it. Matter of fact, we're going to do a little exercise right now, which is, I'm all about, see, I made a transition. I see the whole, just shaking those bottles, shaking that bottle. I always imagine it's like sex, you know, just shake them up and he's done. Okay. Actually, I really don't think about sex when I do this. Yeah. But you can taste the difference in most waters if you shake them up first. You can blend water. There's some machines now you blend it and so forth. They also do the same thing. It just means your body's going to absorb that water better. Because again, another part of being able to produce brain chemicals, serotonin, is the assimilation of water. Your cells actually have to be hydrated in order to make the energy to produce serotonin. If your cells aren't hydrated, guess how you get energy to make serotonin? Sugar. So you crave more sugar again. See, everybody's drinking water, and I'll come off of it. I'm drinking water, so that's what I'm thinking about. We all think that if you drink 8 glasses of water a day, it's going to make you healthier. Now, if you're out there jogging and sweating out water, you probably need 8 glasses a day. Do you think the cowboys who rode across the plains here to Colorado brought a case of water in their truck, whatever it was? Do you think they drank 8 glasses of water a day? No. Go to any culture around the world. They don't drink 8 glasses of water a day. I know people live to 100, 110 years old. I've traveled around the world over 27 times, studying indigenous cultures, or enjoying indigenous cultures. My definition of indigenous culture is one that doesn't have TV yet. And once they don't have TV, they still have their old customs. They don't drink water all the time. I'm not telling you not to drink water, but I'm telling you that what will really hydrate your cells is learning to stop eating so much sugar. Sugar dehydrates your cells. And what is it that actually hydrates your cells? Fat. All that fat on your body is filled with water. When your body uses fat for energy, it fuels the brain. And your brain gets 20 times more energy than if you're burning sugar. The difference is when you're burning sugar, you get quick energy, like kindling wood. But as with kindling wood, what happens after a few minutes? It burns out. When you're burning fat, it's like a big log. Once you get your body into the fat burning mode, then you have 20 times more energy. And when your body makes energy from fat, most people don't know the byproduct is water. The body converts all that stored fat into water right inside the cell and hydrates your cells. The most powerful way to hydrate your cells is to burn fat. Now, I'm in 100% fat burning up here. I've trained myself. I train people to be in fat burning. Why I need water is I've been spraying it out. I'm perspiring it out, so I need to replenish. So if you actually get rid of the water through perspiration or jogging or exercise, then you need to replenish with more water. But if you're sitting at a desk all day drinking down water, you know what's happening with that water? It goes right into your body and it leaches out minerals and goes right through. So you drink it and you go to the bathroom and pee out minerals. And what are those minerals for? Those are the minerals that are necessary to make brain chemicals. Now the brain chemical that women run out of faster than men is what? And why would they run out of it faster? Because we're all under stress during the day at times, but women have 8 times more blood flow to the emotional center of the brain. And so their brain's always having to make more and more serotonin. Not only do men have more stable blood sugar to make serotonin if they run out, men generally don't run out of serotonin. They can under a lot of stress. Long before men run out of serotonin, they run out of dopamine. Dopamine isn't as well known, but it's now used by the drug companies for children with ADD. ADD, ADHD. Who knows somebody who's ADD or ADHD? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So I was studying this new crisis that was happening about 15 years ago and found that with children who had ADD, they did tests on them and found they all had low dopamine levels. Now, dopamine is a brain chemical that makes you interested in something. So right now, if you're interested in what I'm saying, let me know. Wow. Now, is there somebody that's like really, really, really interested? Let me know. There he is. Or is it a she? I can't see that far. It's a she. She has got dopamine off the chart. Do you see what she did? She stood up. When somebody's got a lot of dopamine, what do? They jump. So I ask you again and give you permission to have more dopamine. What was the question? If you're interested in what I'm saying, let me know. That is dopamine. Now, a lot of times when guys are in audience, one guy stands up, all the rest go, oh, he's standing up, I don't need to. He does it for me. Why? Men are always, dopamine gives us energy. It's excitement. It's what Harv's got you doing when you're dancing. You know when you're dancing and listening to the music, you know what's happening in your body? Your body's starting to go into fat burning. Dancing puts your body into fat burning. Sitting still, you're in sugar burning. Unless you're in a very high meditative state where you're pumping out serotonin for another reason. But generally speaking, you're doing work and you're sedentary, your body goes into sugar burning. But when you are dancing, you're in fat burning. Why is it? Rhythmic movement. But I want you to know that if you're overweight, and for some people that might be a lot of pounds. I was talking to one woman, I said, how much pounds would you like to lose? She said 60 pounds. Really? You always have to look stunned, guys. You know, you look like you only need 5 would be fine with me. But she said, I went on a diet, I lost 32 pounds, but then a few months later I gained it all back. That's called yo-yo dieting. Who's heard of that or experienced that? This is a real tragedy that happens today where people going on dieting. Because when you eat less food, you have less minerals in your brain to make serotonin. And so when you don't have the minerals in your brain to make serotonin, your brain tries really, really hard, and so it's just give me a lot of sugar. And as soon as you eat sugar, your body goes into sugar burning, and then once again you get exhausted. And what happens to poor women, it's very sad. You see, men, we're a whole different physiology. We have plenty of serotonin, but we run out of dopamine. Dopamine's that thing that makes you interested. And of course, when you're interested, you have more energy. Dopamine motivates you. It excites you. It's when the man's in love with you and he's dating you and romancing you for those first 3 years, his dopamines are on a high all the time. God gives you 3 years of free hormones. And then they start declining unless you learn how to build it up on your own. Now, why does it? You get these 3 years. Because one of the things that stimulates dopamine, that hormone in the brain, neurotransmitter in the brain that says, I'm interested, I'm interested. So you hear something new and different, what do? You get excited. If it's the same old thing, I heard it before. Takes about 3 years in a relationship before that new and different starts to wear off. So all you need to be is with a woman, and she's new and different, and that will stimulate dopamine. So you see these older guys, and some girl walks by with a little flash, a little slit here, a little more cleavage here, bends over, whatever. Every guy in the restaurant's like, what was that? See, we've seen all that before, but not on her. Maybe it's going to be different. I don't know. Let me take another look. It's pure physiology. The brain's seeing something new and different wiggling. I've never seen it like that before. And it triggers all kinds of signals like, I got a job to do. Even that poor guy sitting in the restaurant. And this girl, I saw this in Hawaii one time, and you know, they wear string bikinis in Hawaii, and they walk right through restaurants that way. So this girl's walking right through hot string bikini, walking to the restaurant. Every guy goes into this trance. And one guy I'm noticing, he's like looking at the peas on his plate. Just look at the peas. Don't look up. Don't look up. Don't look up. Because he knows if he looks up, he's in trouble. Because he's with his wife. And of course, he's getting more and more depressed because even as he's looking at the peas, he knows he's in trouble because his wife knows every other guy's looking. And I know you want to look. You're just not looking because I'm here. It's a no-win situation. Relationships need to be win-win. We need the understanding of each other, but in a respectful way. My wife and I resolve this. You work out ways you resolve stuff without making somebody, shaming someone or making them wrong. The last thing you want to do, women, is to make a man wrong for being attracted to another woman. I mean, this is like basic primitive physiology. Woman, I'm turned on. That's why he's turned on to you. And if you teach him by shaming him, you're not supposed to be turned on, you're not supposed to be interested, you're not even supposed to see her. Come on, you're teaching him, I'm not allowed to be turned on in the presence of my wife. And then when he's away from you, he's turned on, but he's not when he's with you. You don't want to condition him like that. I'll give you a simpler form of conditioning. Your husband's talking and you put your hand on him. You know what you do, at least my wife will do this when I'm talking too much. So what is that conditioning me to do? Stop talking when I'm around my wife. She touches me, I learn to not talk. I'm in her presence, I learn to not talk. I'm actually kind of reminded of that because Barbara's here. My wife never touches me to tell me not, because I taught her that. Just don't touch me. If you have a no, just say, John, let's change the subject. Whatever. But if you touch me, when I'm sharing, I get the message, touching me means shut up. When Barbara and I used to teach together, when I'd be talking, when it was her turn to talk, she'd always like affectionately put her arm around me. Not good programming. But we don't realize that at the time. So how do you resolve this sex thing? He's looking. What Bonnie said to me, she said, John, I understand you're a man. You're attracted to women. That's why you're attracted to me. That's right, honey. That's right. She said, I just don't want to be embarrassed when you're looking at other women. I said, I understand that. I understand that. What do you think we ought to do? And she said, well, I don't mind if you look. It's just when you go into a trance. Another time she says, I don't mind if you look. It's just when you start to drool. I said, I'm not drooling. Yes, you're drooling. It's an old man trait. So either you go into a trance. So I said, what are we going to do about that? I told her, hey, so all you have to do, whenever it's like getting to that point where I'm looking too much or it's too obvious, just elbow me. You have complete permission to elbow me anytime, but not in my ribs. So just elbow me like that. And then we have a fun, playful experience. So we worked that one out. But I want to give you the power of accepting and understanding our differences without judgment. So I was in Hawaii, and that was just that experience. We'd worked it out. Actually, this is the story where we worked out in Hawaii. We were in this elevator, and another one of these string bikini girls was in the elevator. Strikingly beautiful, just strikingly feminine in every curve and every possibility was there. And and everything was showing. I mean, it was just, and we're in a little elevator, and she's standing right there, and Bonnie's here, and I'm here, and there's another couple here, and she's like right there, you know, looking away so you can look. That's what they do. They always look away so you can look at them. And of course, I'm looking down, and I'm not going to look at, this is too close for me to look. So as we walked out, she got out on the same floor that we got out on. As we're walking out, this woman walks off, and we stand there looking silently. And Bonnie said to me, it's so sweet, she says, "I want that body." And I was silent. But you know what I thought? I want that body too, but for a different reason. Now, then the next day I was teaching a seminar on sex, and she was there, and I told that story. And I didn't say that I thought to say, I just said, and of course you know what I was thinking, and everybody laughed, and then I said it, I want that body too. And I immediately shook in what her reaction was, and she was on the floor laughing. She thought it was the funniest thing. I'm telling you, we had memorable, great sex that night. I mean, that was spectacular. Why? Because I got this message, my sexuality's okay. So many times men feel shamed by their sexuality, and women, you don't even know you're doing it. Often when he says, let's have sex, see, women can do more than one thing at a time. So they're busy. I mean, this one guy, we were doing funny stories from Australia on the radio when I was in Australia, having guys talk about their funniest experiences. One guy said, yeah, you're talking about these women that multitask. We were going to go into the bedroom to have sex, and on the way, she noticed a dirty glass and had to go back and clean it. What man would ever notice a dirty glass and much less go back and clean it if you could go have sex? Men just don't think that way. But women, besides having this never-ending to-do list, they have this vision that sees everything. They feel everybody's needs. They feel this need, this need, this need, this need, and this need. Now, I know we're kind of not in a normal situation, but you have your purse there. I need a purse. I'm just looking at the front row. Is that your... Oh, she already emptied it out for me. I actually was going to do that. But that's okay. If you can put that back together. I already now know what's in that purse, so I want to be surprised. That purse right there. Who's your brown purse with the sunglasses on? Can I borrow your purse? Oh, please. You have the perfect purse. I'll be discreet. Okay. So now I know this isn't your normal purse. How many women own more than 3 purses? Now, how many men have more than 3 purses? Okay, a few lucky guys. So where's your purse? Let me see. Right there, this gentleman right in my front row. No purse. You carry a wallet? I do. Yeah, let me see your wallet. Sure. Can you bring the wallet up for me? Sure. This is Mars. This is Venus. Women carry everything they could possibly need and everything anybody else needs. Men carry the same thing every time. It's the bottom line. What's the point? What am I going to need? The essence. License, credit cards, maybe some cash. Definitely not a checkbook. Most women carry their checkbook with them. I haven't used checkbooks in years. We'll get this back to there. Of course, one thing often when in seminars I'll say, if it's a married couple, I'll pull her purse out. One of the first things I find, well, let me just see what's the first thing I find in yours. I'm going to be discreet. Okay, this is private. Leave out the condom? Okay, not showing the condom. Now you reach into a woman's purse, you feel around. Always, I've done this for years. The first thing I find, another purse. One is not enough. She's got to have backup. She's got to have more. Oh, excuse me. Pardon me. I'm so sorry. See how easy that was, guys? Women love it. You're always supposed to say sorry, excuse me. It's just let it breeze off you. Just get used to saying it. They love it. They feed on it. They'll make up things you should be saying you're sorry about if you don't say it enough. You got a quota. How many times do I have to say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, let's look a bit for this in this purse. First thing you find, you open up the purse, credit cards. But like a man in his credit, but usually they have at least 2 to 10 times more credit cards. Why? Because women will go to the store. My wife, we go to the Macy's. And they, oh, do you have our card? And I go, no, I got my Visa. That's all I need. My wife goes, oh, no, we could use your card. I'd love to have a relationship with you. I care about you. So she'll carry that little Macy's card around with her, knowing that she has a relationship with Macy's. Because relationships, how many relationships do you have? What is the quality of your relationships? Do people care about you? Do you have help if you need it? All those things in her awareness stimulate serotonin. To men, who cares whether I got all this stuff or not? To me, it's just a lot of work. I don't need this to create serotonin. I got plenty of serotonin. That's the difference between men and women. Men, because their emotional center is not so active, they don't run out of it. And somehow, men even we make it 50% faster, and we store 50% more. It's like for those thousands of years we were out chasing those animals, we needed a backup of serotonin to remind us, why are you the one who's out there risking your life about to die? It was all that extra serotonin that gave us the courage to do that. But then we come home, we got plenty. Anyway, I'm going to look at this watch. What I'm looking for here is the next little purse. The little purse within the little purse is a coin purse. Women are proud of how many pennies they have in that coin purse. We'll be at the counter, and she'll say, do you have change? My wife delights. Yes! I've got it right here. I know I've got it somewhere. She reaches down in one of her many purses to find another purse. She pulls it up. I've got it. I've got the exact change. She delights in bringing out that little change and puts it out there. And what man ever delighted? Is it raining? Oh, okay. I guess I'm under the lights. Okay. What man delights in going, do you have change? Oh, yes, I've got it. I've got it right here. I can find it for you. But see, this is a very important thing for men to understand about women, that little coin purse. Little things make a big difference. They look for the pennies. My wife steals. I'm a multimillionaire. My wife goes, a penny, a penny. Sometimes I throw pennies around just to jump her mood. Oh, it's a lucky day. I found a penny. She's so sweet about that. Little things make a big difference. And men don't understand this. We do big things. Women like big things, but they also like little things. One of the most important things about creating romance. Guys will do their romance. Hey, we got flowers back here. We couldn't put them up too high because they were flying off because of the wind. Let me grab some flowers here. So, oh my gosh. It's a sign I have to finish soon. So here we are with flowers. A guy goes, okay, I want to do something special for the sweetheart of my life. I'm going to bring her roses. See, on Mars, we keep score. We do it like in sports or in business. The bigger the thing you do, the more reward you get. So I'm thinking I'll bring her 24 roses. She'll smile bigger, right? That's not the way they are. On their planet, I got to get the wind out of my microphone. On their planet, I bring a dozen roses. A man thinks that's 12 points. I bring 3 dozen roses. He thinks that's 36 points. No. You bring however many roses you bring. She goes, oh, roses, how beautiful. All that 8 times more blood flow goes to her brain, goes, yay, delightful, I love it, how wonderful. You don't have to bring her 36 roses. You can get the same amount of points with 1 rose. So men, if you want your 36 points, give her 36 roses in the next 3 months. Each time you bring her a rose, she goes, oh, that's wonderful, you remembered. But it can't be a formula. You can't have your assistant do it. Women have little antennas, they know who thought of it. You have to do it yourself, and it can't be on a routine. Otherwise, they know that you weren't thinking of them. And of course, often we're not thinking of you because we think of one thing at a time. It's not our fault. We're just over here doing this one thing. And then we come home and you go, you forgot the milk. Or we're going on some trip to South America this summer, and she called me yesterday. I called her yesterday, and she said, did you talk to the travel agent about the tickets? Oh, I forgot. Oh, you forgot. I'm so sorry. How can I remember tickets for travel agent? I'm getting ready to give a big talk. I can't do those 2 things at once, but I try. And then I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot. Well, I'll try calling on Monday. And she very carefully goes, oh, yeah, sure, like you'll remember. I'll tell your assistant. See, she understands men can do one thing at a time. She doesn't take it personally anymore if I forget to bring home the milk. But on the day when I did bring home the milk, Oh my God. She said, John, would you bring home some milk? I brought home some milk. I remembered. The next morning, the kids are having milk with their cereal. And they're all happy about it or something. And she says, well, we got milk. And you know why? And they go, why? Dad picked up the milk. And all the kids go, yay, Dad, the milkman. They're like, suddenly I got all this recognition for it. Anytime a man's successful, he remembers that. See, if you want men to remember things, women, remind him and point out when he's successful. If you point out when he fails, how do men cope with stress? They forget it. When a man's under stress, if I got a lot of stress today, the way I cope with it, the stress is on the left side of my brain. I come home, I go to my cave, which means I get to go to the right side of the brain. And while I'm on the right side of my brain, the left side of the brain goes to sleep. And I can forget all my problems. Yes, women, we men can forget. You can't. And you can't imagine this. And we men can't imagine why you remember so much. It's our brains are literally different. Plato first discovered this. Plato said this is the point of recreational activity. His phrase for it was frivolous activity. The left side of the brain is serious, the right side is frivolous. If you're serious all the time, you have to be frivolous for a while to give that part of the brain a rest. But he was talking about men. Women can't do this. Woman's on her serious side of the brain, she goes to the frivolous side of the brain, she's still over there. This is brain scans. She's everywhere in the brain at the same time. She can't escape herself. All she can do is talk about what's bothering her, stimulate serotonin, which comes in and activates her memory to remember all the good things and let go of the memories of the negative things. And the last thing you want to do, men, is interfere with that process. And how does she produce more serotonin? Feed her and let her talk. And nod your head, make noises. And when every cell in your body goes, I can't do this anymore, then you muster up your strength of manhood. And you look at her and you say, tell me more. Tell me more. And she'll say, I'll be happy to. And now she pulls out something else. She's got so much stuff in that purse. And often when she's emptying out her purse, here's the comb. She's got, women spend so much more money on getting their hair cut. Did you know that? Did barbers actually charge women more for their haircuts? Because my barber had this little saying. He's saying, some haircuts are $40, others are $80. I said, what does that mean? He says, well, I can't say men's are 40s and women's are 80s, but women pay 80. And I say, why? That seems unfair. He says, no, it's not. They take twice as much time. And I said, it takes twice as much time to cut it? He says, no, they take half the time telling you how to cut it. So they're going to charge more. Anyway, that's the comb. All these things women carry around with them. They'll carry all these burdens with them, and they're happy to carry it. They don't mind it. They love taking on the problems of the world. But occasionally that purse gets a little too heavy. And at that moment, they want to come home to somebody who loves them, somebody who cares, somebody who understands, and they want to come to you, and basically, and this is a metaphor, they want to say, oh, I'm carrying this heavy purse around. And the guy says, really? Well, what's in that purse? And she starts emptying out the purse, and he keeps saying, well, don't carry that. Well, if you don't like it, don't worry about it. Just get rid of that. Get rid of that. So we want to start cleaning out her purse. And then we say, don't even carry a purse. Carry my wallet. And then she feels diminished. This is one of her most beautiful qualities, that she cares about herself, about you, about the world. She opens up men's hearts. Women give men purpose. We'd just be machines without women. Women open us up, and we realize, why do I do this? A helpful hint for parents of teenage boys. You look at this boy and you go, when is he ever going to become civilized? Once he has a girlfriend. Women civilize men. It's your love that transforms us. It's just you sometimes don't know how to use it. What you do is you form the home improvement committee and want to improve him. The secret of transforming a man is not trying to change him, but to allow him to change you. To allow him to make you happy. See, the whole secret of relationships, and this is in my most recent book that's going to come out called Why Mars, Venus Collide. Women, you're all the time trying to make men happy. It doesn't make men that happy when you're trying to make them happy. What makes men happy is feeling successful. When a man feels successful, a hormone called testosterone shoots up. And in a man's body, when testosterone goes up, his stress levels go down. When his stress levels go down, he has 20 times more energy. When your stress levels go down, you begin burning fat for energy. When you're burning fat for energy, your brain makes more brain chemicals. He's now more interested in you. He's more motivated. He has more energy, all because he in that moment felt successful in making you happy. And of course, women, what you're doing is being busy trying to make men happy, instead of use all that busyness in your brain figuring out clever ways to make him, allow him to help him make you happy. That's all we're drawn to. Men are always drawn to success. And of course, if I can make a woman happy, that's the best success. That's why he's drawn to you in the first place. It's that you were somewhat happy, and he thought, I could make her happier. That's all men want. It's like, you know, when you do those fundraisers for schools, 20,000, 40,000, 80,000, 100,000, ring the bell. That's all men want to do is ring the bell. But you know, you're not that excited about a fundraiser if there's only like 5,000 in there. But imagine if there's 80,000 in there and you've got 20,000, you go, okay, I'll just come in at the end and ring the bell. That's what men are most attracted to you, is when they feel we can ring the bell, when we can make you happy. I first realized this so clearly one time. My wife, in her very clever wiles, noticed that I never picked up after myself. And of course, the old scoring system wasn't working. Because you know, men score their points. On Venus, every act of love scores equal to another. So if I do one thing for her, I get a point. If she does one thing for me, she gets a point. And this causes chaos in relationships, because men go to work, earn money, often come home, sit on the couch and think they've done it. How many points did you get? 1 point for going to work, 1 point for working, 1 point for coming home. So you got 3 points. She did the same thing, but now she's busy scoring points. You left T-shirts, she goes and picks them up. I give myself a point for cleaning up after him. Oh, I'm going to make him a dinner. I give myself for making him dinner. I give myself a point for knowing what his food that he likes. I'm going to go to the store and buy that food. I give myself a point for that. After one day, she's got 33 points to his 3, and there's a new score. 33 to 3, the new score is 30 to 0. So you come in, the successful guy, feeling fantastic about your job and your work and what you're doing, and she looks at you, oh, you're the 0. I panic whenever my wife has made a special meal for me. I know, oh my God, she must have given herself 50 points for that meal. Whenever the little tablecloth matches the napkin and there's candles, you're in danger zone, guys. You got to start looking for light bulbs that need to get put out, changed. Oh, I'm going to put that light bulb up. And you can get points too. You go, oh, light bulb needs to be changed. I'll go right away. Anytime a man jumps up and goes right away, what happens? Extra points. Women love to see men jump, 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 jump. Now, don't jump if it's a big deal, because that's only 1 point. But if it's a little thing, only going to take 5 minutes. Anytime a woman has a need, it's only going to take 5 minutes, run for it. A whole point. You go to 8 hours of work for 1 point. Think about it. I can change that light bulb and get the same point. Then be intelligent about it. What you can now do is you can be wise, and you say, oh, I'm going to change that light bulb right now. Got a point for saying I'm going to change the light bulb. Got a point for saying right now. Go into the garage. Even if you can climb on something and reach it, don't. Get a ladder. You get another point for getting the ladder. Bring the ladder in. Put your ladder up. Another point. Honey, would you hold the ladder while I climb up? You get a point for consideration, meaning that you're worried about dying and you don't want to leave her alone dead. So you wanted to protect you. Hold that ladder while I climb up. See, I'm supporting him, and you get the point. She's supporting you. Changing that light bulb. And you know, you thank God if that light bulb is broken and you have to get it there and like, it broke, I need another light bulb. Then you get another point for that. Every time you do little things in response to her needs, her immediate needs, you get big points. So I didn't understand this in the beginning. As I started getting more money, I started hiring people to do stuff for me. So I'd have Jose. I said, Jose, I want you to cut the wood, and I want you to bring it into my house like a bed and breakfast and have this whole little fire set up so I can just light the little paper and it all flames on. I said, isn't this great, honey, how we have these fires? She said, yeah, honey, it's nice. I said, what do you mean it's nice? Isn't it like really great? She says, well, there's something else going on. I said, what's that? She says, well, when I see Jose carrying those logs in, something just happens in my body. I said, okay, Jose's not allowed in the house anymore. I'll carry the logs in the house. Jose cuts down the trees, stacks them outside. I still carry my hatchet as I go out into the dark. I always get a point for going out in the danger zone. Then you carry those logs in, a lot of logs, showing those muscles. I'm toiling for her. See, they like to see you like pushing that car up the hill for them. Effort, but you can be effortless because you know you're going to get big payment, big payment. Getting lots of points here. You put those logs down. A lot of guys think, I'll build a big fire, won't have to tend to it. No, no, you're only getting 1 point for building that fire. You got going out, you get a point. You bring it in, you get a point. Now you build a little fire. You get a point for building a little fire. Then every time you add a log to it, you get another point for tending to the fire. It's like women love this kind of stuff. An attentive man. You don't have to do it all the time. Just get your points and go to your cave. I'm not asking you to do a lot. So many men do so much, scoring big points. I'm going to earn a lot of money. I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to take her on this big vacation. I'm going to do this whole big thing. You're only getting 1 point for that. Do it if you can. That's all fun to do. But no, you're getting 1 point. We're going to go off to a trip to South America. I could just call the travel agent and have them do the whole thing. But no, I'm involved. See, I'm calling in, I'm checking, I'm letting her know, I got this decision to make, don't know if we're going to do that. She sees me sitting at that computer, looking at this yacht or that yacht or what we're going to do. She goes, John's really working hard. For her, I'm working hard today, but this doesn't count. There's only 1 point. I come on, look what I did, honey. Oh, it's good, I like it. But it's not for her directly. Women want it right to them. Otherwise, Jose's getting the points. So little things make a big difference. Men will tend to run out of the dopamine, and that's a different physiology in men. We don't have the active emotional center, but we have more muscles. 30% more muscle mass, and under stress, our muscles break down twice as fast as women's. And when our muscles have to rebuild, they use up the proteins that would normally make dopamine go into the muscles. That's why if a guy goes and runs for a long time, he takes a nap. His brain can't think. His to-do list stops. So God gave men this gift. Big muscles means he can easily forget his to-do list. Unfortunately, women, you don't have those extra muscles. And if you build them, they're still going to break down less efficiently than men's. Your muscles stay there for the long run. They discovered that with the NASA flights. The men would go up in the spaceship, and they come down without gravity. Their muscles would all atrophy. It takes months before they get their muscles back into shape. So they come off the Challenger in wheelchairs. Then they put the women up there with them. And then when they come down, guess who's pushing the men in the wheelchairs? The women's. Their muscles don't break down. Your bodies are completely different. It's run by fat. Your bodies are designed to produce 20 times more. You have 20% more fat on your body. That fat produces more energy. Why do you need more energy? Because the design of a woman is such that her brain never stops. She has an unending to-do list. It can't ever stop. So what's the grace? Is that never-ending to-do list is not a problem if you have a never-ending supply of energy. And that's what's happened today, the big crisis between men and women, is women are exhausted and tired. They want men to get off the couch and do something. But men are exhausted and tired too, so what do? If you convince a guy to get off the couch and help, he becomes even more exhausted and tired. So how do we help women? You don't have to get off the couch and help men, only if it's a light bulb or a little thing here or a quick job there, fine. But you need your cave time to recover. What does she need? 3 new things that women have never asked for from men, because women have never had this dilemma before. Because women used to work with women all day long, which was what? A serotonin-producing activity. They're talking and sharing and communicating, which would then produce another hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin is proven to lower stress in women. It's proven to put them in the fat-burning mode. All you have to do is have oxytocin and you start burning fat. The power within ourselves will create our success, create love in our lives, and create wellness and health for everyone. Thank you all for coming today or letting me be here today. Thank you, Harv. What a fantastic audience you are. Thank you so much. I love you. I hope to be back. I hope to be back.
Let's break it down a little bit. Are you with me so far, yes? You notice when you're learning from me, I try to keep it very simple, yeah? Like simple, like things you've heard 100 times and all of a sudden it just makes a little more sense right now. Yes or yes? And I want to share with you, I believe that if you live your life with this question overhanging everything you do and are, you will be a happy person. You have to be, because you'll always feel good about you, because you'll keep taking the actions that will be in support of you feeling good about you versus support of you not feeling good about you. Now let's take, again, break it down. Let's see some examples here. So this includes decisions around things like your ways of being, your actions, your character, your habits, literally everything you do and are. Yes or yes? Because they all have an impact on it. So, for example, you can, if you feel like you're a little overweight, you're looking at a pizza, you've had a piece, you know you're semi-okay, but you're looking at that second piece. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. It could be pizza, chocolate cake, cookies, whatever. Yes, yes. Now the question is, do you eat the second piece or the third piece? That's the question. For the most part, we'll almost always eat that second piece. Why? Because it makes us feel good right now in the moment. Yes or yes? But, is this only a momentary question? Is it? No. This is a much bigger and broader question. Because the minute you finish that second piece, you know you feel like shit. At least for another moment. Yes or yes? But here's the problem as we teach in some of our programs. The problem is if you have little moments of feeling like doo-doo, pretty soon your life turns to feeling like doo-doo. All the moments add up in a nice bank and you feel like shit. Yes or yes? And that's, you can't be happy. True or true? So it's not about sacrifice. It's only about asking another question. And that question is, if I have this second piece of pizza, how will I feel about myself? Will I feel good about myself? Will I feel proud of myself? Versus if I choose not to have it because I want to release a few pounds. Do you understand the question? It's not about not being able to have it. It's about a choice now. But before, you may not have had the question to give you the choice. True or true? And now you do. Now you have a question to ask yourself at all phases of all of your life in everything you do. How will I feel best about me if I do this? And you know what? Here's my experience. If you quiet down for just a moment, the answer is so fast and so solid and so freaking obvious every single time. Yes or yes? It's obvious. You know what supports you. You know what supports you in feeling good about yourself. You know that. But you don't do it because you don't ask yourself the question at the right time. Yes or yes? But what if you can live with the question? What if every, 50 times a day you ask that question? How many of you believe you'd be doing the right things a lot more often? The right things for who? In support of who? In support of what? Your happiness. Your happiness. Most people are not fully happy because they consistently do things that make them unhappy. Duh! Oh my God, what an insight. And they are things that they don't feel good about themselves. And they keep on propagating that because it's habitual. Because they never ask themselves a question. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about here. Give somebody a high five and say, you're amazing. All right, here's what I'd like you to do, please. Pull out your journals, your notebook, whatever you've got. And again, this goes for all your decisions, all areas of your life. Even something as simple as, I've got to be there at 9 o'clock. It's 8:45. It's at least 15 minutes away. If I stop at I got to stop at the cleaners. Maybe I'll stop at the cleaners now so I don't have to do it on the way back. Okay, but that's going to put me 5 minutes behind. What do most people do? They stop at the cleaner. Yes or yes? Now the question is, let me ask you the question. As a semi-enlightened individual like myself, if this was the question overriding that decision, raise your hand if you might choose to pass on the cleaners and go for being on time and keeping your word? Because one of them is more convenient, but will make you really feel like shit. And the other one is a little less convenient, but you will feel so good about yourself for choosing to do the right thing. Yes or yes? Is anybody getting any of this? Is this so simple? All right, so here's what I'd like you to do. You got your journals out, and simply, I want you to create a chart, a little chart, listing, or just a list of the things that you do and are. In fact, let's do it this way. Things that you do on one side and things that you are, character, habits, whatever it is, on another side. Character here, doing this over here. That make you feel great about you. What are the things you do, and who are you, the parts of you that you are, your character, that you feel great about yourself, that make you feel good about yourself, that make you feel proud of yourself. Simple things like, I feel good about myself when I'm on time. I feel good about myself when I work out. I feel good about myself when I'm nice to people. You understand what I'm saying? I want you to create a list right now. 3 minutes, go.